Okay, hello everyone. This is Scarf Parents, and we are here to make a video about Genesis War. And this time, I will be making a full guide on my favorite character, probably from this game, which is Silver. I had been asked for quite a while to make guides for characters, so this will be my first one, and it took me like a whole week to gather all the pictures, assets, information to try to make a complete guide for the character with as many details as possible and present it in a way that all of you can review, see it, understand. So I hope that you like this format, because I might be using this format to make other characters guides. So without further ado, let's start with this character guides for Silver. Okay, so Silver is a three of vitality, a green unit. So we are going to talk a little bit about the classes for Silver, the skills and abilities, some equipments. Let's talk about the order of the manifest tree, and finally the runes. Okay, so let's move on. So let's talk about Silver classes. You should master every class if you can and have the resource for it. The order I suggest to unlock her classes, it should be first the captain, then the falconer, and third the high master. These are the third jobs, the final classes. Ultimately, I recommend the falconer as her last class, and that's because of her passive, and we will talk about her passive in the next slide. The high master cannot use rapier, so I really do not recommend that class for her, because her main weapon is a rapier. And unlike other characters, her stats apparently stay the same regardless of which class you choose for her final class. Other characters, you will see that there's some slightly variation. Okay, so her passives. She got a unique passive that she always have. Is only of her, and she has it regardless of the class that she is. So this is the most important skill, because the character moves around this passive. At the start of the ally's turn, if you have no movement control debuff, she gains the silver phase. And what is the silver phase? It gives her attack power of 5% and critical rate of 20% per one of movement. She's a ranger character, and all her classes got a total of 4 movements. So that means that she, on her turn, she will have 80% crit rate because of her 4 movement, 20% for each one. If she can get another movement for any other means, then her critical rate will go above that 80%. And this effect is removed after combat. So in the enemy turn, she does not have the critical hit rate of 80. And also she grants the free win, which is not affected by movement reduction, so she basically is like immune to movement reductions. And she apparently can affect other characters with movement of 2 or less, but there are no characters with movement of 2 or less. But maybe if they have some hindrance, they could be affected, or there's some terrain disadvantage, or maybe for the tombs, those map might have restrictions on movement. So at the end of her turn, if she got the silver face effect, then she will get another action that turn. So she could technically have 2 actions or attack twice every turn, which makes her a really good character. But this passive has it starts like at 70%, then 80%, then 90%, until at max manifestation she will get 100% proc rate, and that's when the character will really shine and will always work really nice. Okay, so now we got 2 class passive. The first one is the Skywatchers 2, which is the one I recommend on this guide. That's the passive for the Falconeer class. So she can only use her if she is on the Falconeer class. So she ignores enemies' control zone when moving, and the attack power increased by 20%, and this is unrestricted, so she will always have this 20% attack power. And when the enemy ends its action within 2 tiles around her, the Skywatcher 2 will activate, and JJ the bird will attack and descend, and will steal 1 TP and will deal damage equals to 30% of the attack power of silver. And the effect cannot be removed. So this effect cannot be removed. So any enemy that approach her will get attacked by the bird. It's really cool, and it keeps enemy low on TP, so they cannot do their strong attacks. The second passive is the one that comes with the Captain class, so you can only use that passive if you are in the Captain class. So I suggest that you go first to your Captain class so you can pick up the skills there. So if you don't have enough resources to move to Falconeer yet, you can perfectly use the Captain passive, which is quite nice too. Ignores the enemy control zone when moving, and tiles within 1 ring around you becomes control zone. It's like if it were like a tank, like when you use Durant or Dunamis or any of the other tanks. They put those restriction tiles so that enemies have a hard time moving, which is a bit of a squishy character, but this passive also gives her damage reduction equals to the number of enemies in the zone times 20% up to a maximum of 60% reduction. And when attacking, if there are no allies within one ring around her, then she gets an attack power of 25%. But this got a condition. You cannot have any allies near her, while the other one from the Falconeer class is unrestricted, and you will always get the 20%. It's 5% less, but it will always be active, regardless if you are close or far from your allies. Okay, so let's talk about skills and abilities now. In the left side, I put in red the 3 skills that I consider the best for her, which are Silver Thunder Flash. It uses 1 TP and its range of 1. And you designate a direction and it deals damage equal to 50% of the attack power to the enemies within 3 tiles ahead, while piercing through them to the farthest empty tile, with also a 70% chance of getting the Sharp Blade effect, which is piercing damage dealt by 20% for 2 turns. She also got the Whirlwind Blade, if I'm not mistaken, that comes from the Captain class, and it's why I suggest you go to that class first and unlock that skill, because it's very important. It uses 2 TP and it's a range of 1, and damage equals to 140 of her attack. And on a critical hit, the TP is returned. So if she got like 80% because of her movement, and she does a critical hit, those 2 TP she spent on using Whirlwind will be returned to her. I type the skill descriptions in a better way that the game does. The game, for some reason, translate things a bit weird, so I think they're better explained in my presentation. So the third skill is called Sky Pass. Use 1 TP and the range is 3 to 7. This is a really good ability to move her around big maps, or when you got those maps that you need to go to specific objectives or places to go, escape. She really can move with this skill. You move to a tile within 3 to 7 spaces. And then also grant the Sharp Gaze ability, which is piercing damage received 30%. To enemies around 2 tiles from her for 2 turns. So she basically like give a debuff to enemies so that your other allies could do more damage on them. Then on the right side, I got 2 more skills that I consider decent enough that if you want, you can use them. One is the First Aid, which got a TP of 1 and it's for self. So she recovers 30% of health and gain the First Aid which is at the end of the character's turn, she recovers health equal to 50% of the total health, and it lasts for 3 turns. And it cannot be removed, so it cannot be dispelled. So it's a nice ability if you don't have any healer on your team, or if she overextends a lot and it's far away from the other allies. But if you have dedicated healers, you might not need that skill. The next skill is Smoldering Smash. It uses 2 TPs and has a range of 1. This one deals damage to 160 of attack, and on a critical hit it gives heal block, which is healing effect minus 100% for 2 turns and cannot be dispelled, removed. So it's a very niche ability, but some enemies could get quite annoying when they keep healing themselves. And since she has a really high critical hit rate, it's very likely that she could land this ability. And the last ability is her ultimate skill, which is called JJ. JJ is the name of her falcon. And this one uses 5 TP and has a range of 1 to 5. And at max manifestation, this ability deals all the enemy's TPs and deals damage equal to 220 of attack power. And no one can counter attack or guard against this skill, which is nice. You don't have to deal with those pesky tanks that they get into the middle. This skill, I believe it will get a bit of an upgrade later on. I think it's more damage. Yeah, and at some point she will get upgrade on some abilities. So I will mention those as we move forward through this guide. Okay, the equipment. This is the equipment I highly recommend because she does have a lot of crit rate. She doesn't need much crit rate. And that's why in the substats priority, I put crit rate on the 3rd position and up to 15%, because you might not need more than that, or even you could even need less than that if you have her weapon 5 stars, or if you have other ways to get a little bit more of crit rate, then you might not even need that much crit rate. So we should focus on getting those attack percents, crit damage, and then last HP percent. The armor set that I suggest is the Assassin of Darkness, which is a medium armor set. She can only use medium armors, so a set of 2 gives her attack of 10%, and a set of 4 give her crit damage 15% and an additional 10% if HP is 50% or less. And for the accessory, I suggest the Sawtooth Arrowhead, which gives 10% crit damage in combat. And this is on 1 star. I believe that this item could get higher on crit damage and stats if you max its stars, but I just put the 1 star because I believe that it's a bit hard to max accessories at this point, unless you are very lucky getting those from the Machina in the training. And let's talk about the artifact. The one I'm suggesting is Warrior Essence. She got 3 different ones. This one is the Warrior Essence, which gives her 30% attack when she's using a melee skill. And the 30% is at 4 stars. So all her abilities are melee skills. So every time she uses skills that do damage, she will get that 30% attack. I put there also the 15% physical penetration, and I put a stroke on it because at this point the artifact does not have that 15 physical penetration. But like I said before, she will get an update later, and this artifact will get that extra 15% physical penetration. The other 2 artifacts, one gives her a shield which does not stack with other shields abilities, so I think it's not really good. And the last one is one that gives movement that could potentially give her more crit rate, but I think she's better with more attack than 1 extra movement. Okay, let's continue. Now with the weapon. This is her unique weapon. It's called Pirate King's Treasure Sword, and it's exclusive of her. So it has a unique ability just for her. So it's her best in slot. Well, in theory, all the characters who got an exclusive weapon will be their best in slot. In almost every case, there are a few exceptions, maybe like Yolin, but in most cases, you will want to have their exclusive weapon because of the exclusive ability. And let's discuss this exclusive ability. I put here the weapon in 3 stages because these are the most critical ones. The first one is 1 star when you only get 1, and so you get an attack of 10%. And you have a critical rate increased by 5% and an ability called Unfair Trade. And has a cooldown of 3. So this ability, what it does is during combat it transfers 1 removable buff that you have to the target. So it's really good to get rid of your debuff and be able to debuff the enemy. So at 4 stars, the attack increase at 13%, and the crit rate is 8% now, and the cooldown has been reduced to 2 turns. And now the ability of Unfair Trades transfer all your removable debuff to the target, and also steals 1 removable buff from them. So you will be buffed with their buffs. And at 6 stars, it will have an attack of 15%, and the crit rate will be 10%. And that's what I was saying, that if you got this sword max, then you will have 5% more, and you will not need 15%. You will just need like 10% more to reach 100% crit rate. So at this point, the unfair trait 6, during battle, transfer all removable debuffs you have to the target and steal all removable buffs, not just one, from the target to you. So it's a really good weapon. Also, if you see, I put next to the attack a physical penetration of 10%, then 13%, then 50%. And I also strike it because at this moment in global we do not have that. But later on she will get an upgrade and this weapon will have that effect as well. Okay, so other options. If you don't have her unique weapon, then these are the weapons I suggest that you should use. The first one is from Sarah Rangrid. It's her exclusive weapon, and I'm stating here the normal skills of those weapons, because obviously those are their exclusive weapons and they have their unique abilities for them, but they also have a skill for which is called the normal skill, that will be applied to any other character that use that weapon. It is like a lesser version of their unique ability. So on this weapon, at 1 star, she gets a 15% attack, which is a lot for a 1 star. And also during combat, she also gets 5 extra attack during counters. And it says, additionally, at the start of the warrior's turn, obtain haste at a 10% chance. Yeah, the chance is really low, 10%. Sarah Rangrid got a better chance than that. But the normal skill, you only got 10%. If you have this skill, this weapon at 6 stars, then that 10% chance it will be a little bit higher. So if that's the case, then you will get haste more often. And when you get haste, you will get a move range of 2 extra for 2 turns. And 2 extra move range means that she will get more attack and more crit rate on her turn. So she could even have like a movement of 6 and get 120 crit rate. That would be like a bit insane. Yeah, but like I said, it's a very small chance, so don't dream much about it. But still, it's a solid weapon with a really good attack at 1 star. Then we got the Dark Sword, which is the only non-rapier weapon that I suggest here if you don't have her unique. And this is because it got a normal skill that can trigger when you hit a critical hit. And since she has so much crit rate, this ability could really works for her. So it will be almost like guaranteed that you will confuse your enemy for 1 turn. And when the enemy is confused, it flees to a random location within its movement and lasts for 1 turn. The attack bonus is just 5%, it's quite low. But this weapon also, because it's a sword and not a rapier, has a little bit more of base attack than the rapiers. If you can see, it got 342, while the rapiers got 316. And the last weapon I suggest is the Lepine Blue, which is the exclusive weapon for Mari Pendragon. This one has an attack bonus of 10%, and the ability says after attacking an enemy with a single skill, if the enemy has a healing impediment effect, deals 15% attack as damage. And it has a cooldown of 3. I guess if you have this weapon at more stars, it will have its cooldown lower and maybe even do more damage. This is a quite niche weapon, but if you're using Silver's ability to heal block the enemies, she has one from Smoldering Smash, and she has another one that I didn't mention that is AoE. So if you use those two skills, then maybe this weapon could be really good for you. Okay, now let's go to the manifest tree. What I did here was just suggest an order that I think is the best to go unlocking the manifest tree. I suggest doing it like this if you're slowly building your character. And what I mean by this is that, well, if you're a free-to-play or a low spender and you are like slowly building your character, getting those charts like every day, and little by little you keep moving from manifest to manifest, then you should follow like this order. Like when you unlock manifest 1, then you go first to your ultimate, then second to the extra stats. Then when you unlock manifest 2, you go to your passive skill, then your extra stats. The passive skill, I would say, is the most important one, and it's the one that you should have priority on. So I always will pick the passive first if I have two options. Yeah, but if you're a spender or you're a whale and you unlock this character all the way through N6 right away, then you don't need to follow this suggestion. If you unlock all 3 manifests, then go straight first with all 3 passives, so that you have 100% proc rate for the Silver Face, her unique passive. That's your main goal, and that's the passive that will make your character really strong and shine. But if you're unlocking it slowly, then manifest by manifest, then I suggest this order: 4, 5, 6, and so on. And I also think that her ultimate is the last option. So if you could pick the artifact first, then you go for the artifacts first. Okay, let's move on. And the final section would be the runes. And here is my option 1. This one has 2 chaos sets and 1 conspiracy set. The 2 chaos sets each give 2% attack and the conspiracy gives 1.5 crit rate. And in the right side, you can see the extra stats and values that each of the total of all 6 runes have in their stats when they're at max level. And also I'm talking here about legendary runes. I use legendary runes, but to be honest, I'm not one who has all legendary runes. In fact, I got very few legend runes, but all versions of runes, heroes and the rare ones, all give the same set bonus. So the set bonus does not check if they are legend, hero, or rare, though the stats do vary. So on the other side, so those bonus you see there are for the legendary version of the runes. If you put the purple ones, the heroes, or the blue ones, which are the rare ones, those stats will be exactly the same, but the numbers will be different. So you will have less amount, maybe 5% max HP, and the other maybe 3%. It will depend on the levels of your runes, because I'm assuming that this will be the max values with legend runes, and all the 6 runes are also level 10. If your runes are level 1, then they will not have those values I put there. I believe that this is the most consistent rune set for her. If you want a little bit more of offensive, you could swap those 2 conspiracy runes for 2 chaos runes, and will give her 2 extra attack, but she will lose the defense 25, and the max HP will go lower, like I think by 3%, so it would be like 7%. Yeah, but I think that the trade for those 2% attack is decent. It's a decent one. I mean, I get a little bit more crit rate, and I get a defense of 25%, which is basically around a 79, almost 80 defense. So I think this is the best set. But if you want a little bit more of a glass cannon and a little bit more damage, then you could go all chaos. And then I'll show you my second option, which is a little bit like a strange one. I would need to test this one like a lot more, but I believe that this build might work better when she's maxed, when she is at manifest 6, because she will be able to proc that passive 100% time, so she will not need much crit rate from other sources, and she will reach that 100% crit rate. So all her attacks will always do crit damage. So this is when I think this kind of build will shine. So this one has a 2 set chaos and a 4 death set. The death rune is a little bit rare, or a little bit harder to obtain, because it does not drop from the machina. So you need like to open those strange boxes that you can buy from other shops like Guild and Arena and Ice Castle, but it's like very limited, and the coins we usually use or need for something else. So it's gonna be a bit hard to get 4 legendary death runes. So this will be like a build for a long run, and when your silver gets to M6. And I believe that this has to be like stronger on a long run than the other one, because I find it strange that that almost all the rune sets are of 2 sets, and this one needs 4 sets for just 3.6% of crit damage. So that could mean that the critical damage of 3.6 is a lot to have a 4 set for that. And also you will get additional 13.5 crit damage from the stats at level 10 runes. So with all this crit damage you could stack from this and the equipment, she should be doing tons of damage. So with this, I think I end my first guide for a character in Genesis War. And if you like this format, let me know in the comments below. And if you have suggestions of how to improve the guy, or if you think I missed something, but I think I covered all the bases. And the next character guide should take me less time, because now I got this format and template. And also leave in the comments below which character would you like me to make a guide next. Also consider that I do not have every character in the game. I'm missing like 3 or 4, and I don't have them built, most of them. I barely got like 14, 15 half baked, so I would need to dig info and a lot of other research to make a good guide for the characters, especially if I don't have them built. But I will try to do my best to present them in a way that makes sense and in a way that works. So with that, thank you for watching this video and getting this far, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.